The first book that I read this week was Cinder by Marissa Meyer. It's the first book in a wildly popular YA series, and I think that each book is supposed to be a retelling of a fairy tale or story, and the first one is a cyborg Cinderella, which I think is a great idea. Even having read the book and getting very angry at the book, I still think this idea is really cool, but let me tell you why I didn't like the book so much. I should probably tell you what the book is about first, though. Yeah, we have our cyborg Cinderella named Cinder. She's very unfairly treated by her stepfamily. Everyone hates her because she's a cyborg. I'll get to that in a minute. And one day, the prince shows up at her stall in the market and asks her to fix his android, and before you know it, she's the only girl who can save the world. Okay. What I didn't like about this, I don't... Part of me doesn't want to say anything bad about this book because so many people love this series. But I just cannot forgive or understand the sloppy and shallow world building here. I found the story and the characters to be very flat and predictable. There's a point at like page 50 where you just know exactly what's going to happen. You know exactly who Cinder is, and because it is based on Cinderella, you know plot points and all that. So it was kind of boring and kind of predictable. Incredibly predictable. Let me rephrase that. It was very, very predictable. But I can also see why this story really gets to people. Like it's the whole romantic Cinderella story and everything, meeting your prince. So it has that appeal to it if you're really into that. I never really have been. The thing that just killed this book for me, the thing that was enraging me while I was reading about it, was the plague storyline and how there are not any decent explanations of why people think certain ways or do certain things. Motivations are incredibly lacking for the basics of the world building. First is, why do people hate cyborgs? At first I thought it was just Cinder's stepmother. You know, she has to have the evil stepmother who won't let her go to the ball and everything. But then I was getting really confused about her actual legal status. She's a 16-year-old girl. She's a minor. She has a legal guardian, but she's treated, and it almost seems to be implied that legally speaking, she's not really a human being. They call her a cyborg, not a human. She cannot do certain things because she's a cyborg. People are like deeply prejudiced against cyborgs in the society. Is she a slave or an indentured servant who can be bought and sold and disposed of, which actually happens in the book, or is she a adopted minor child? Because there were really big differences between these things, and it comes across like cyborgs are not human beings in this society, and you can do whatever you want to them, including mass killing them for medical research, and everyone thinks that's okay. But why? People are cyborgs just because they have like a cybernetic hand, and that, you know, that's quality of life, not inherently changing you as a human being. So that just, and I could not get past that at a certain point. Like, it didn't make any sense. The other thing, the plague storyline, is I just don't think any of that was realistic. It's not a freaking quarantine if any random person can walk off the street into the building, interact with hundreds of deathly ill people, and then walk out again without any fuss. Infectious diseases don't freaking work that way. That's not quarantine. Please don't call that quarantine. I don't know anything about quarantine, but even I know that is not anywhere near proper quarantine procedure, and if you truly have a plague decimating your population, that's really crappy procedure, and you're all gonna die. One thing I do want to say, just sort of a statement here, outside of this particular book, is, but I was thinking about it because I was reading this book. I know that I've done this in the past, and I kind of wish that I wouldn't do this, but I think sometimes I and other people say it's okay if it's not as good because it's YA or it's middle grade. I can forgive it because it's for a certain genre or demographic or whatever. And I have to say, having been a teenager, that's kind of offensive. It's like saying, I'm gonna write a book but I'm not going to make it as good. I'm not going to put in as much effort to making it realistic or reasonable or have as much depth because I'm writing it for somebody who's younger. That's just, no. You know? When I was a teenager, I would not have enjoyed this book. I would have picked up immediately on the sloppy stuff and gone, that's not how plagues really work. And you know, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. And I would have been like, why did you write this book? Like, people can tell it's not that way. Good is good is good. And doesn't matter what age it's written for, or what gender it's written for, or whatever you want to pigeonhole the book as. Have higher standards. The first book that I read this week was I can't talk about this book. Oh God.